In the chilling quiet of a winter's night, a single howl echoed through the desolate countryside, an eerie prelude to the horror that was about to unfold. In the heart of a secluded town, nestled deep within the confines of an unassuming countryside, a chilling tale of terror was beginning to weave itself. This was no ordinary town. Its quaint charm belied a haunting secret, a secret that held its residents in the tight grip of fear and uncertainty. Every night as the clock struck 12, an unsettling symphony arose. Strange, inexplicable sounds echoed through the silent streets, disturbing the peace of the sleeping town. Whispers of rustling leaves, the clinking of unseen chains, and low guttural growls that seemed to come from deep within the earth itself. These noises were not just heard, they were felt, a chilling reminder of the unseen terror that lurked in the darkness. As the nights passed, the sounds grew louder, more persistent, and so did the fear. An invisible shroud of dread hung heavy over the town, tainting the air with an unshakable sense of unease. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by long, agonizing hours of waiting for the dawn. The townsfolk, once cheerful and welcoming, were now haggard and silent, their eyes reflecting the haunting terror of their nightly ordeal. Conversations were filled with hushed whispers of the local folklore, tales passed down through generations about dark creatures that roamed the night. Creatures that were born of the shadows, thriving in the pitch-black darkness, their very existence a chilling testament to the monstrous horrors that lurked unseen. Every creak in the floor, every gust of wind, every shadow dancing on the wall was a chilling reminder of their presence. The terror was not just in the darkness outside, it was within the very walls of their homes, a constant, unyielding force that threatened to consume them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the town braced itself for another night of unending terror. Night fell like a shroud, as if the very darkness itself was alive, pulsating with a deadly intent. The usual hum of the nocturnal creatures was drowned out, replaced by an ominous silence that seemed to echo through the town. As the hours passed, the quiet was intermittently broken. The distant howl of a lonesome dog, the rustling of leaves as though brushed by an unseen entity, the haunting hoot of an owl, each sound amplifying the eerie atmosphere of the night. Stories began to circulate among the townsfolk, tales of strange shadows that danced just beyond the edge of sight, chilling whispers that seemed to come from the very wind itself. Old Pete, the town's blacksmith, spoke of a shadow that seemed to follow him home, disappearing only as he crossed his threshold. Little Susie, not more than 10, told her schoolmates about a whispering voice that lulled her to sleep, its words indecipherable but filled with an unsettling menace. With each passing day, the reports became more frequent, more alarming. The town's butcher, a sturdy man of few words, reported his entire flock of sheep missing overnight. No traces, no tracks, just an empty field. The town's librarian, a woman of rational thought and logic, spoke of books flying off the shelves, pages turning on their own. Unexplained incidents turned into genuine concern as people started to go missing. First, it was Old Man Jenkins, the town drunk. Then young Billy, the paperboy, his bike found abandoned by the side of the road. The terror was no longer confined to whispers and shadows. It had taken a tangible form, a form that was as elusive as it was terrifying. Every night, the sun set with an almost palpable dread, the darkness descending with an insatiable hunger. The once vibrant town was now a shadow of its former self, the laughter and joy replaced by fear and uncertainty. With each passing night, the terror grew. The darkness seemed to be alive, feeding on the fear of the unsuspecting town. One night, an unforgettable encounter turned the whispers of horror into a deafening scream of reality. In the heart of our little town lived a man of courage, a beacon of bravery in the face of the unknown. Let's call him John. John, unlike the rest of us, didn't shy away from the dark. Instead, he chose to face it, to challenge the unseen terror that lurked in the shadows. On a moonless night, thick with the smell of dread and anticipation, John ventured into the heart of the darkness. The world around him was a void, an abyss of black that swallowed the faintest glimmers of light. The night was so silent it was as if the world was holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable encounter. And then, it happened. From the depths of the darkness they emerged, the creatures, the dark dwellers we'd all feared. They were like nothing of this world, their forms indescribable, their presence bone-chilling. Their eyes, oh, those eyes were pools of the blackest ink, voids that threatened to swallow John whole. Their whispers were the stuff of nightmares, a symphony of dread that echoed in the air. John felt the icy fingers of fear clutch his heart, but he stood his ground. He stared into the face of the unseen, the unimaginable horror that we'd all feared but never dared to confront. The creatures seemed to sense his resolve, his refusal to back down. They hissed, a sound that was both chilling and terrifying, but John didn't falter. The standoff lasted what felt like an eternity, with John standing his ground and the creatures observing him, their inky eyes unblinking. And then, as suddenly as they had appeared, they retreated, melting back into the darkness from whence they came. John emerged from the encounter a changed man. No longer was he just brave, he was a survivor. He'd stared into the abyss and lived to tell the tale. But the encounter left its mark on him, a dark stain on his soul that would never fade. He survived, but the terror he saw in the darkness changed him forever. He was the first to see the unseen. The darkness hid a terrifying secret, a secret that was now out in the open, turning the town's worst fears into a horrifying reality. The aftermath of the encounter was a scene straight out of a nightmare. The once tranquil town was now a breeding ground for panic and chaos. People scurried like frightened mice, their faces etched with terror, their hearts pounding with fear. Those who had once been neighbors, friends, and family now eyed each other warily, distrust creeping into their hearts. For who knew who might be next to fall prey to the dark creatures? The dark no longer symbolized peace and tranquility. No, it was now a symbol of dread, a harbinger of doom. Brave souls attempted to fight back, to reclaim their town from the clutches of the lurking monsters. Pitchforks and torches replaced bedtime stories and lullabies, as the townsfolk prepared to wage war against their unseen enemy. But every attack was met with resistance, every brave front met with a gruesome end. And then came the chilling realization. The dark creatures were not just lurking in the shadows, they were the shadows. They were everywhere when the dark fell, in every nook and cranny, under every bed, behind every door. The darkness was no longer just an absence of light, it was a living, breathing entity, teeming with the creatures of the night. Escape was futile, for the darkness was inescapable, and so were the creatures. The town was trapped in its own nightmare, a never-ending cycle of fear and dread. The terror was palpable, the despair overwhelming. In the face of this unimaginable horror, the town was left with two choices: live in eternal fear or fight the dark. The battle lines were drawn, the stakes higher than ever. The town was about to make its final stand. Would they succumb to the darkness or rise above it? Only time would tell. In the heart of the darkness, the town made its final stand. Their survival hung in the balance. The once vibrant town, now reduced to a battlefield, was the last bastion of humanity against the encroaching darkness. The townsfolk, ordinary men and women, stood shoulder to shoulder, their courage shimmering like a beacon in the pitch-black night. The dark creatures, embodiments of every nightmare, every fear, were relentless. They moved like smoke, slithering and creeping, their eerie silence more terrifying than any blood-curdling scream. Yet the townsfolk stood firm, their determination unwavering. This was their home, their sanctuary, and they would protect it or perish in the attempt. The air was thick with tension, a palpable force that seemed to hum with the collective heartbeat of the town. In the face of such monstrous adversaries, the townsfolk found strength in unity. Parents, shopkeepers, farmers, teachers, everyone had taken up arms, their faces etched with grim resolve. They say in the darkest hour, even the meekest heart can find a lion's courage. And that's exactly what happened. The townsfolk, with their improvised weapons and makeshift barricades, fought with a ferocity that would make a seasoned warrior proud. Their bravery, their desperation, echoed in the stillness of the night, a testament to their will to survive. This was not a battle of strength or power. This was a battle of will, a battle of spirit. It was a dance of darkness and light, a struggle for survival, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. And as the night grew darker, the fight grew fiercer, the desperation more palpable. The town was a symphony of chaos and courage, of despair and determination. Every clash, every cry, every moment of silence was a note in this macabre melody. As the night wore on, the outcome of this desperate struggle remained uncertain. As the town fought for its life, the darkness roared in defiance. Who would emerge victorious, only the dawn could tell.